Broadcasting from Boston, Massachusetts, you're listening to the Technology Equals Equality podcast.
Hey, welcome back to the Technology Equals Equality podcast. I'm your host, Lori Brooks, and this is episode 45.
I am super pleased to welcome to the show today Valentina Dragojevic. Valentina is a translator from Monte Negro in the Balkans. She started her entrepreneurial journey offline in 2010. She's since worked with the U.S. Embassy and various other individual clients. In the beginning of 2015, Valentina decided to take her entrepreneurial journey online. She's joined the Technology Equals Equality community today to share this journey. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Well, thank you for inviting me. I'm really excited.
Great, because I'm super excited to have you here on the show today. Please, Valentia, share with us a story of how it is you once saw the future. Before you began branding yourself or building out your business, what did you think life would be like when you were back in school, say back in high school or primary school? What did you think you were going to do when you grew up?
If you ask me about my schooling, I first want to tell you that I really wanted to study languages, so I had no other thoughts.
Right.
Just I want to study English language. I liked it. I was different when I was a schoolgirl. I liked different kind of music. I liked rock and roll. I was a hippie. And I was completely different. And my parents look at me like, oh, is this our child? What is she listening to? I mean, she's completely different, right? And that's why, because of the Beatles and Janis Joplin and the Doors and Deep Purple, I just wanted to study languages. Then when I started studying in Belgrade in Serbia, I studied there. Then I realized that it is literature that I'm studying. I just didn't know at the time, but I actually enrolled into English language and literature, right? And that's how I became a literature lover. I always liked reading, but I didn't know about English literature that much because I was a fan of Russian literature. The Balkans is always between Russia and, between West and East. So that's how I got acquainted with the English literature, and I was amazed with the different kind of thoughts that I was getting to know, because Russian literature is somehow different. It's difficult.
Yes.
It's even darker. But English literature is something that told me that this life is one life that we have, and a little bit more pragmatic, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And it taught me a lot. So that's about my schooling. But I always knew, in that time, I knew that I was going to be a translator. And my father told me, oh, you're going to be a translator in the country. During the 19th, there was a war here, I think in the Balkans.
Yes.
We were closed from the rest of the world, and there was embargo, and we couldn't go anywhere, neither Europe, nowhere. And I should have, he said, you will be a teacher in school, and that's okay. But I knew that was not going to be enough for me. I wanted to be a translator. And I don't know how, when I graduated, I think half a year after my graduation, an international organization in my country appeared in my town. And that's what I want to emphasize. I want to emphasize my wish, my desire that came true. So if you wish something badly, like I wanted to be a translator, it actually happened. Right? So I'm sorry for my English. English is not my native language. So, and I'm not prepared, like I said to you. And that's how it all started. I started working in this American organization, not as a translator, but my everyday duties covered also translation, the translation work. And step by step, I think, and step by step, I became a professional translator. I worked there for 4 years, and after that I worked in some other international organization, and then all of a sudden, some 7 years ago, I didn't have any job. Those international organizations stopped working. There were no programs, no projects, and my jobs ended, right? And I didn't have job. I didn't have a job. So I've decided, since I don't like just sitting around doing nothing, that I should start freelancing. So my freelancing did not start with online freelancing. I started freelancing, offline freelancing, some 7 years ago. And the truth be told, it's not something I wanted to be, because in my country, the freelancing is not recognized, has not yet been recognized. When somebody asks me what I'm doing for a living, and when I say that I'm a freelancer, they say, "Oh, you're not employed. You're not working." And in a way, they are right, because it's not a secure, it's not stable. It's not stable. You never know when you will have work. When will you work or not? But I am satisfied with my freelancing career here, where almost nobody is a freelancer. There are not so many of us, and some of my thoughts are written there on my site blog. I call it site blog. And I have to admit that I didn't. I have been online from 2001, and I have been using the net for my translation work a lot.
Yeah.
But only for my translation work. I just wasn't interested in social networks.
Right.
I was not interested in too many techie stuff. And do you know why? Because I explained there, I have already been tired, because I was tired because my back hurt. I'm a translator. I spent a lot of hours in front of the PC.
Right.
So I just couldn't, it was too difficult for me. On the other hand, I didn't like what I saw there. What I saw, what's going on the social networks. It just wasn't my cup of tea.
What were the first steps that you took? What was it that kind of piqued your interest in moving your offline business into an online platform? Where did you begin with that?
There was not so many traditional offline freelancer jobs for me. So I've decided to see if there is something I could do online. So I first started with the Elance platform, where the freelancer community is. You can get a job there.
Yeah.
And then there were not so many translation jobs for my language pair, but I was lucky then. There was a client from the United States who wanted her novel to be translated from English into Serbian. And I was a newbie. And I thought, how can I get this job if there are others who had already done some jobs on Elance?
Right.
And well, I said to myself, let's try. I read a few times what the client wrote, and I thought, well, you should try to hit the essence of what she wanted, of what the client wants. And I wrote that proposal. I really gave the best I could. And what happened? I hit the essence. The client liked what I wrote, and she hired me for that job. And I was a newbie. There were I think some 50 people from Serbia, from the Balkans, who also applied for that job. And among them, there were people who had the so-called stars, meaning they already they were praised by their previous clients.
Right.
And
already
I
worked.
did that job. She was really satisfied, and that was my first online income. And those $60, I can't explain how happy I mean, I earned more in my traditional freelancing jobs.
Right.
But these $60 were the dearest $60 in my life. And that's how my online journey started, and that's how I became curious. And I became so curious after that that to that degree that I didn't sleep for a few days because I wanted to feed my curiosity and to see what are the online opportunities.
Right.
And that's how it all started.
That's awesome, Valentia. What do you feel were some of the hardest steps with getting onto Elance, finding your first platform, choosing which platform to go with? Because there are a number of different entrepreneurial platforms at this point in time that any newbie could choose from. So what was it that gravitated you towards Elance as your platform of choice to begin building out and to begin working from in order to submit that first proposal? What kind of steps did you take at that point?
Well, to tell you the truth, I didn't have to choose. I didn't have to choose. So Elance was my first choice because I didn't have others. Some platforms they don't even have English Serbian language pair. So that's why I chose Elance. I didn't have to choose Upwork because Elance and Upwork are going to merge. Actually, they merged already. So it's going to be one company. On the other hand, I think that I saw that they were professionals, and I read a lot. The first article I found about Elance was written by one Serbian internet marketeer, and I knew that she was reliable, and in a way, I just listened to her. But it's not just her. I saw that they were professionals. By the way, I saw that they were professionals in terms of how I should sign up. They called me they called me on Skype. I had to send my identification card. I knew how to recognize what client is reliable, and I mean what client is really a client, because there you can also meet some who are not clients but just like, I don't know. So there were some things that I knew that there were some things because of which I knew that Elance was the right choice. What was difficult for me is that I was completely alone. I didn't have anybody to ask anything. It's just what I read on the internet. But then I realized that if I am on the internet, online, researching, finding information, that I'm actually not alone. And that's how the internet world opened its door for me.
Valentia, what do you feel was the hardest part of getting started online?
The main issue is how to find the information, and the main issue is that we have to know what we are looking for, what information we are looking for, and I didn't know that. And I am certain that many people in the Balkans don't know what information they should look for, and that's the problem. When I learned what information I should look for, then the whole new world opened for me. There is a lot of learning there, because then after that, when you know what you're going to look for, you have to know who is reliable, why is that blog or website reliable,
Right.
what can we learn from those people, let's call them influencers, right?
Yes.
Is everything that we read from there, can we adapt there to our market or not? Many, many things that we should think about.
What do you feel are some of the bigger mistakes that entrepreneurs tend to make when they're getting started online? What do you feel was one of your biggest mistakes when you started?
I made the same mistake that I made as a traditional offline freelancer, and that I wanted to bite off more than I could chew. It's not good when you are a freelancer and you don't have a regular work time like normal people have. Then you see yourself not sleeping. I mean, reading 24 hours, and that's not good. We should get organized like normal people do. And I made the same mistake like once 7 years ago.
Yeah.
Because that was my beginner mistake when I became a freelancer. There were translation agencies and clients from Monte Negro who called me for some work to be done, and I said yes to everybody, and then I couldn't do anything. And that's what I learned. And I was surprised that I made the same mistake, but well, online business is again something different, so we learn from our mistakes.
Very much so. It's very easy to spread yourself far too thin. I'm very much so guilty of the same. And I think it's an integral part of the startup journey. You get to that point where you realize it may be time to expand the team a little bit further and delegate a little bit more, because it's difficult when you're an entrepreneur and just starting off to look at the costs that are going to be associated with future growth before you get there. When that time comes, if you haven't prepared for it, it can be that much more overwhelming.
I have my service to offer. My service that I'm best, that I do the best, something that I do best is translation. So that's my first service. On the other hand, my blog is 50-50. There is one part which talks about translation, and there is a call to action that everybody who wants my service can contact me. But then again, there is the other part where I talk about thoughts and trifles. I did that intentionally. In thoughts and trifles, I was thinking to write about everything, starting from digital world era to books, my favorite books and literature, and why it is important to read, and so on and so on. So it may happen in the future. It may happen in the future, but I know that there are some more experienced people here in the Balkans who already do that, but they are still struggling. This is an emerging market.
Yeah.
We are in the embryo phase. But since the world is changing, I think it will happen soon that there will be a need for more of us. Because from what I see is that not only that the world has changed, the markets have changed, labor markets. Traditional jobs are going to be less and less. I suddenly realized that if you want to live in this new world and normally to earn revenue, you need to reach out, you need to be seen, and you need to show beforehand what your qualities are in this new online world. And I think there will be a need for more coaches. But for now, I first want to gain experience so that I can be able to say something in the future.
Certainly. And I agree with that 100%. Do you have a favorite quote or a website that you found was really useful that we could kind of link to as a resource for the audience?
Yeah, I have something more to say as someone who is dealing with words.
Certainly.
I will again return to the Balkans market, and again I will say that there are some extraordinary people here who did their best and they became a certain kind of influencers. But ordinary people still don't know about them. And what I'm trying to say is that there are going to be, I think, investments in startups in the Balkans community. That's why I'm really happy about that. And I wish things started to move forward a little bit faster here in Montenegro, although we have a team called Digitalizuj Me, that's their name, Digitalizuj Me. I have to mention them because I think they are important for Montenegro. But there is one thing I want to add. They have to transmit the adequate message to ordinary people who are maybe willing to try online opportunities and online business, but they have to transmit those messages in a way they understand, because for now we only have, those are all foreign words like startups, all foreign words. They are not translated and people don't understand, and that's why I put the emphasis again on languages and on learning languages, or even on translation, if we want to move forward. Because some people who might even want to try something online, they just don't understand. There are people who don't know how to buy online, not to mention this. So we have a lot of work to do, and I think there will be a lot of work for me in the future. And for the platforms, I fell in love with WordPress platform. I mean, WordPress and all things online website and all those things were all Spanish to me once. And then all of a sudden, I fell in love with that, and I did it all by myself. I'm not saying that I'm a professional. I'm an amateur, and my site is probably amateurish, amateurish, right? And but I'm very proud that I did it all by myself. It's my baby, and of course, one day if I needed something more professional, like what you said, coaching or something in the future, then of course I will hire a web designer, a professional web designer. But this site is mine, and I learned something. And why is that important? Because one day, if I want to invest my money and if I want to pay somebody for building my site, some different sites, then I want to know what I am paying for. That's why learning is important, and that's why learning about many things is important. I am a translator, but I learned about WordPress.
Right.
So that's my. Do you understand my point and the point for all the beginners?
Oh, I certainly do. In fact, I was going to kind of go back and just say that in terms of the Balkans and the changes that we're looking at in terms of the investments that may be coming towards entrepreneurs and so forth, there will be a market there. And there definitely is going to be growth in the sense of the necessity of your position, because there's so much information online at this point, and there's so many different avenues that people could take. People need the assistance to know where to go, where to begin, how to begin, what those initial steps should be in whatever market that they're most interested in. And if they have someone like you that's not only able to translate the information, but to assist in the navigation, no, I definitely think that is, going to be something that becomes an integral part of the Balkans in and of itself.
Right, that's right. I want to add something to your story. When you said that there will be probably a need for a lot of translation, there will be a need for a lot of localization, because we have to adapt that message to our audience. You know why? When I said earlier that we have to adapt the messages from our influencers and whether they are adequate for our audience, sometimes we need to trust our guts, and we need to know that we are different and why we are different, and maybe that difference could be our strength. we are complex human beings. It can't be, not everything can be the same. And that's why we will need the experts from many fields, not just economists, internet marketers, but even psychologists, language specialists, many other people, other experts. This online job has taught me a lot of things. For example, I have 2 contracts signed with the London translation agencies, and that's because I have my website, and that's because I knew how to approach them now. My approach was completely different when I approached these translation agencies, you know. So these contracts are signed, and I'm waiting for some job, but they are signed. On the other hand, since I'm now on Upwork also, I didn't have to apply for one job. They invited me. They invited me. So that's a huge difference. That's a huge difference.
No, definitely.
And that's why I love my I love my journey. I mean, this beginning of my journey. But again, let's face it. Let's face the reality. I live in Monte Negro, and of course, I hope that this my website, my online jobs will also be reference to someone here in Montenegro who will say, oh, this girl is, I mean, she knows a lot of things, we can employ her. There are still some things that I don't like. For example, as someone who is a literature lover, okay, I'm really happy that today everybody can write. So there is a lot of freedom now. People are not aware how much freedom we have now. Right. But for freedom, it's not only to enjoy freedom. We have to be knowledgeable in order to be responsible to enjoy freedom. We have to be responsible. And but again, that's a new world. I'm not certainly the only one who is thinking about this. And like I said, it's really great that everybody now has the right to say something. But on the other hand, what I don't like is I understand now internet marketing concepts and that readers are scanning, they are not reading, and so on. I understand that completely. I myself use some of those concepts when I write my posts. Mm-hmm. But are we going to allow that until the end of our lives we only have titles like 10 things to do that, 5 things to do that?
Right.
You know, it's just I noticed that people are getting tired of that. So I'm completely aware that such titles sell more, but still I am certain that there must be a place for something different and that we have to evolve even in the online world. It's not just those titles. It's not just scanning. There are people who would like to read, to really read. Not everything has changed. That's my point.
No, definitely. I agree 100%.
So I don't know if this is off the topic, but I just wanted to mention because there are pros and cons to everything. So
no, and reality is we're not completely digital just yet.
That's right. That's the point. You said it in one sentence. I was explaining for two. You said it in one sentence. We are not yet digital, that much digital. So
right, not 100% just yet. No, definitely, I agree. But Valentina, it has been an absolute pleasure chatting with you. The show is designed, as you know, to help other entrepreneurs in their journey. So you're just starting off with this journey. If you could change anything at all on this journey, if I gave you a magic wand and said this wand will do anything at all, what would you try to change? What would you like to have changed, and why?
I wish I wish I had started this earlier, because when I started, I felt stupid, and I said, "Wow, the world has changed, and you didn't notice." That's what I thought when I started reading and when I started immersing into everything. I thought, well, Valentina, where have you been all this time? What were you doing? So I just want to tell to everybody that they should start they should give a try almost immediately. And I have one advice that I think is really important. When you start, then you read everything. But what is important is that you focus at least on 2 or 3 influencers. I think that will be enough for the beginning, because we beginners, we like to hear everybody, and then we lose our focus, and then we just don't start. And we have to start. We can't just read, right?
Right.
And that's my advice. And just start it. Just begin, and you'll see what will happen. That's my advice.
Definitely. Valentina, you are absolutely outstanding. I truly appreciate you sharing with the audience. And it is really, really important to just get started. Even if you have no idea what it is you're looking to realistically venture into, to just get started in the online space and to focus on, 1 or 2 pieces that you can really begin immersing yourself in is one of the best ways to start. So, Valentina, what is the best way for our listeners to find you online?
Well, they have my site, www.montenglish.com, and there I am on About Me on almost every social network, like Facebook, Google+, Pinterest, LinkedIn, right?
Yes.
And now I'm on almost every social network. Who would say that? And I use Facebook the most because my audience from the Balkans market, they are mainly on Facebook.
You have been absolutely outstanding, and I really do look forward to continuing to follow the journey. So please continue to share, and just thank you.
Thank you to you very, very, very much. And I just want to inform your audience and my audience, I'm a beginner. I'm from a small country from Europe, and there I was on About Me, and you noticed me, and this is a great experience for me. So if somebody listens to this, then show off yourself. Somebody will notice you. You noticed me somehow. You noticed me, right? And I'm really thankful. But then there must be something that I have done, and you noticed me. So that's my advice again for all the beginners. And it might be helpful. You are from the US, I am from the Balkans, but one never knows. And the other thing, learn the foreign language. If English is the global means of communication, well, we have to learn it, right? We have to speak in English.
You do, Kate, very much so. You are absolutely.
So thank you.
You are very, very welcome.
What I am going to give to my audience, to my Balkans audience, if I have it yet, as a gift. I got the approval from Copyblogger, and I will translate the book Internet Marketing for Smart People into Serbian. And that will be my gift to all the Balkans people, because that's what I do best. I translate. But then again, it will be useful for the internet marketeers and someone who wish to try the online business. That will be my gift for the Balkans.
Well, thank you. Thank you for sharing that, and we will definitely be sure to link to that.
And thank you very much.
Certainly. Talk to you soon.
Okay, bye.
In the words of Nike and Shia LaBeouf of recent on YouTube, go check that clip out. It's hilarious.
Just do it, though. Just do it. There's absolutely nothing holding you back but your own mindset. And no matter how many entrepreneurs I run across day in and day out and speak to and ask them that question, what is it that you would change? More often than not, people wish they had started just a little bit sooner, myself included. So don't let that be you. If you have an idea floating around in your head, go get started. There's nothing stopping you. Any mistakes you make are just learning moments. Go get started and reach out to Valentina at montenglish.com. You can always reach her through our show notes page at technologyequality.com /Valentia. Thank you guys once again for tuning in week after week. I truly appreciate you hanging out with me for these 20-30 minutes or so each episode. If you're enjoying the show, please head on over to iTunes. I would love to hear feedback on the show. And until our next episode, when we continue to hear the journey, find the pain, and create solutions, enjoy the week.